Hey, how
Hey,
are you,
girl.
Alaina?
I'm good. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hey Girl Living Room, where healing, hard conversations and humor come together. I'm so glad to be here once again with our co-host, Alaina.
Hey, girl.
I can't even do that. Hey, girl. What's up?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. I am still like glowing from the conference we went to the other week.
Yes.
I was actually last night, I was looking at some of our notes and just kind of reading some of the scriptures that we discussed. And I was just so glad you invited me because I would have missed out on a big treat if I didn't go.
Do you know what I would have missed out on? Your
What?
expert note taking. I just in that moment you sent me all your notes and I was like, I'm so glad you're my partner in this because you're a great note taker.
Yeah, I was telling you, I was like, I felt like I was in college again. I was just like, all of the key points, but when I look at them, it's like I'm reliving the whole conference again. So yeah. Did you have like a favorite part of, and by the way, everyone, we went to, I think it's called Social Girl Dallas.
Yeah,
It was
SG
one day. Social Girl One Day. It was a conference with Taylor Madu. She is Robert Madu's wife from Social Dallas, I believe. That's your church. And
That's my church. Yeah.
And so Alaina just kind of, randomly invited me to go one day. And I'm like, okay, sure. Let's make it happen. And I'm so glad I did. Yeah, truly inspiring.
I think for me, I knew I wanted to, I didn't know I was going to be able to go because I was actually supposed to be away and it kind of worked out that I was supposed to be there. But there was a moment because it was all day and we got to spend the whole day together. So that was really special for me. But also like there was this moment during just like one of the worship sessions where I was like looking in this massive theater of all these women. They could have been at brunch, they could have been shopping, they could have been anywhere, and they were there to like be better people, to worship, to fellowship, to
Yes.
grow. And I was really like overwhelmed by that feeling, and I carry that with me when I go to situations like that.
It was a true hey girl moment, right?
It
was
hey
like
girls.
Hey girls everywhere. Like we saw women there with their babies, and it was absolutely beautiful. So again, thank you for the invite. And of course, I do have to plug this one more time. I'm sorry. I just can't help it. Your movie is coming out tomorrow. Yay! Waltzing with Brando, September 19th.
Yes, I'm very proud of it. I got to see it for the first time in theaters. We had a proper Hollywood premiere on Hollywood Boulevard on Monday. And it was just really nice to reconnect with the cast, see the movie for the first time. And it came together. So I'm really proud of it. And they're off in New York promoting it. Billy was on the Today Show this morning. And so go see Waltzing with Brando.
And I'm telling people at work, I'm like, go see my friend's movie, September 19th. So yeah, I'm the plug. I need a commission, girl. No.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah. Yes. But we have our first official male guest on Hey Girl. And I'm telling you, if you're going to be on Hey Girl, you need to be confident. And this man, like he is, I don't know how to explain him. Like he is just,
well, he's
amazing.
Really stepped into this like advocacy space and this like allyship. And so we thought it was a really great experience to bring him onto our show and talk to him about what he's doing. So
yes, and it's the White George on Instagram and other social media outlets.
This is how you can tell how old you are.
I love it. Hey, George. Thank you for joining Hey Girl. We are so glad you're here.
Hey, girls. Is that good? Did I do it?
That was
You did
perfect.
it perfect. And I love the heart. I can't do it either. Like I'm still learning. So yeah. And I was looking at a podcast that you were on today, and I have like so many questions. Like you have come full circle over and over again with what you've kind of been doing. Um, I was reading a quote from Joyce Myers, and she was saying, "We live life forward, but we understand it backwards."
Mm.
And I feel like that's your story. Like the way your story has kind of unfolded. Can you kind of touch on a little bit of your story for us, for those who don't know?
I- The easiest way to say is I'm a former racist, drug addict, convicted felon times 10, and ex-con. I was opiate addict, sentenced to 13 years in prison, and I did just around 3 and 2 trips.
Mhm.
Um, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and I was raised right. I knew the difference between right and wrong, but I wasn't the best person, I guess. I would say, a little bit of a sociopath to some degree, and I had to have surgery in 2001, and they gave me 600 hydrocodones. And that little thing I got took me on a 10-year downward spiral of addiction that led to me becoming a very prolific jewelry thief that landed me in prison. And ironically, it's where prison did what it was supposed to do in my case.
Mhm.
So, you know, a lot of things have happened. Got locked up at age 40. So in the last 14 years, yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been a very wild ride.
Mhm. How did you go from that to being, you know, an HBCU advocate and like how do you go from racist to that, especially being in the world that we are in now and you're seeing like people actually they're okay with being racist now. Like it's just like the norm. How did you go from that to what you are now?
I believe if you add up the sum of my life experiences, it was at a point I feel like God pulled the veil back from my eyes in such a way that it was time for
Mhm.
me to see. I don't take credit for it. I wasn't strong enough or courageous enough or brave enough to want to change. I didn't know how to change. I will absolutely tell you, God pulled the veil back from my eyes. He forced me on a path. He shut doors in my face and forced me through other ones. And
Mhm.
I think a culmination of all those experiences added up over time and over years. I couldn't unload them, and I carried the burdens of other men's stories with me from prison that they shared with me, and they affected me. And
Mhm.
my heart started to change, and I fought it naturally because we fear what we don't understand. And so I fought it into. It's ironic. I use Michelle Obama for example when she was first lady. I was one of those people who just did not like her. I believed all the negativity. I've never met her. I've never spoke to her. I've never seen anything negative about her. Right, but I just didn't like her.
Right.
And when she
Right.
said, America was built on the backs of slaves, I'm like, no, it wasn't. And I started research, and I'm like, oh crap, she's right. So a lot of these things I started off trying to research and prove people wrong, right? And on the narratives that I didn't agree with, it didn't align with my racist ideology. And the further I dug into it, the more I realized I was wrong. And when I accepted I was wrong, then it was off to the races. Then my
Mhm.
curiosity was just unleashed. What was I
Mhm.
wrong about? What did I get wrong? And so it just, a lot of people want to know, and it went Black history, and then so much of HBCUs are tied to Black American history. And I say this, I spent a couple of months researching. I made a video that went viral in a few days on TikTok. And I remember looking at my ex at the time, said, do you want to go to an HBCU? And it was in Ohio, a few hours away. So we went to Wilberforce. And I remember it was a Memorial Day weekend. Nobody was on campus. And I remember I took a few steps and I felt this energy. Like I felt this connection. Like I was supposed to be there in that moment. For once in my life, I was standing where I'm supposed to stand and I knew it. And I
Mhm.
went across the Central State that same day and the same thing. I'm like, wow, somebody my dad and uncle went to high school with graduated from Central State. Elizabeth Eckford, one of the Little Rock Nine. My dad and uncle went to Central at the same time.
Mhm.
And so I just felt this and went to Kentucky State. And then I went to Simmons College of Louisville. These are off the beaten path HBCUs, but I was like, there's a story here. And I
Mhm.
can't explain it. I just knew in that weekend I had to go see all 101 schools. And within a
Oh.
few months, I gave up my career of driving a dump truck, and I've been to 42 schools, and
Mm.
I don't know
What's
how of faith.
What's your reception when you walk into these spaces?
Now, now it's kind of a circus sometimes. In the beginning, I stuck on campuses and on purpose, like kind of guerrilla style. Um, just because I wanted to tell the story the way I felt it and saw it through my blue eyes based on what I feel, right? I didn't want it to be adulterated by other people giving me their opinions. But the more I began to understand the culture and the way about it, it enhances my stories now. The more, like, I get a student ambassador a lot of times to take me on a tour, and then I pick up new things and I pick up the students' energies. So I've been a storyteller all my life. It wasn't until I got to Black History and HBCUs that I found the story I was meant to tell.
Mm. And
Wow.
you do tell it well. You do
Thank
tell
you.
it well. So you last year you decided to go on a journey like from New York to California. Are you still on that journey?
No, God, no. I walked
Okay.
2,802 miles in 7.5 months from the Apollo
Wow.
Theater in Harlem to South Central Los Angeles to the Charles
Yes.
Drew Medical School.
Uh-huh. And so how did that go? Like what specifically do you feel like you learned in that moment? Like when you travel, when you decided to make that journey, like I'm gonna go to all of these HBCUs from East Coast all the way, to West Coast.
I mean, that journey was straight through. I went by a few HBCUs, but it was to build my platform to draw attention to historically Black colleges. Like, I had conversations with people in a swath across America because I wore HBCU shirts almost every day, right? When I went somewhere. So that always invited conversation. Um, you asked me what I learned from that. I probably 95% of it, I didn't listen to music. Nothing. I just walked in silence. I tried to discipline myself to be alone with my thoughts. It's very difficult. I broke up with a girl. She took my dog, and I was heartbroken over the loss of my dog. And that was way harder than I could have ever imagined. And to be alone for 7.5 months like that, it was isolation was way harder than I figured. About 2,000 miles in, I realized that nobody cared if I would finish. Like, people were like, "You did more than we ever thought. You can be done," and nobody cared except me. And then it started to dawn on me that this would not be the most significant thing I'd ever do in my life. And that's when it got really hard for me. And I still had probably 800 miles to go. And so um, I think about quitting. Of course, I destroyed my knees in the process. I need new knees. But um, what drove me is that I know that I can always say I did it. I did something that less than 1/1000th of 1% of America will ever do. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's really the only thing I got from it, other than the growth, the time with myself to
Mhm.
heal. Like, it was a gift.
Mhm. Mhm.
Scary as all get out. I was homeless
Mhm.
for the first 6 months.
Wow.
Technically, I still am. I don't have an address.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And silence is scary sometimes. Like just having those moments to yourself. Alaina kind of talked about this in another podcast. She was like, sometimes I'm on a plane 13, 14 hours in silence, like just with my thoughts, to get to know myself better. And I think most of us need to do that.
I'm my best friend in my head. I like my thoughts.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
pray, I talk to God, I think of I ideate, like, I enjoy my thoughts, but prison taught me to enjoy silence because you never get it in there. Never. It also taught me to enjoy bathrooms.
Privacy?
Yeah.
Yeah, privacy. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I
Yeah.
love bathrooms.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
And
mean,
in
humbling.
sunlight.
Sunlight.
Sunrises and sunsets. Those are things I
Yeah.
didn't see in prison. And one of the things that I know how to measure what the world is doing is sound of children playing. I didn't hear that locked up. And you don't
Wow.
realize it till you don't hear that sound. And
Yeah.
during COVID, I didn't hear that sound. And I knew the
Mm.
world was in trouble because you can't hear children playing.
Yeah.
When
Very
you
Mm.
hear them,
isolated.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel like? What do you hope people get from your message that they might not get from the headline?
Um, I think history unites us as opposed to dividing us. I teach history the way I wish I would have been taught, which I try to be rapid fire. There's a psychological component to this, but I am here to entertain you, but educate you without you realizing that you're getting taught something. I
Right.
don't need to change your mind, but if I could just penetrate 1 degree, that's enough to start shifting perceptions and even perspectives, right? When you realize that your cell phone's a paperweight without 3 historically Black college and university graduates, you start to go, Oh, that ranch dressing was invented by a black cowboy from Nebraska named Steve Henson. Hidden Valley Ranch. You know,
Ah,
mobile refrigeration, the study of human blood. All black Americans. I mean, I go to Henrietta Lacks. I mean, she was a gift from God.
mhm.
Just what we were able to do in science. It I just think there's so much beauty there, pain and struggle, and it's just something that is, I don't know, it just means something to me.
And you said something when you were talking earlier. You mentioned something about, just having the curiosity to find out about what our culture is, and why is it that I have these beliefs? And I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know if it's just, not wanting to know, but the curiosity isn't there to say, you know what, this is what I've been told all of my life, but why don't I go and figure it out on my own? Why don't I educate myself? And it's just become this you versus me thing, especially in media. And it's honestly just getting, pretty bad. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like currently,
Okay, can I get
like
on?
Jimmy
So,
Kimmel just got termed yesterday. Like, what do we not, we can't have free speech, but we can have, other things. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
do you want to go down a rabbit hole here?
A little
Um,
bit. Yeah. Mm.
First, mainstream media is completely subjective. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, not the viewers. They have nothing. They owe us no journalistic integrity. They owe profit and share price to the investors. So we need to stop thinking of media as these objective news sources. They're not. They're for-profit businesses. So whatever crap they're saying, they put time into psychology, the cadence, the alliteration, how they do it. They know how to manipulate and create hysteria and mania because you'll keep watching for ad time, right? So let's just take mainstream media off and the crap they say. Okay. Second, I don't. I think a lot of your version of white supremacy and mine will be different because of how I grew up. To us, white
Mhm.
supremacists are KKK, right? White. I mean,
Right.
they're so. And to us, we didn't use the word racism. We use prejudice. And we would talk about
Mm.
other white people like, oh, she's really prejudiced, or he's a little prejudiced. That's how we talk. We didn't use the word racism. But
Mm.
a lot of what you're seeing, I try hate is a manifestation of racism. Racism is not rooted in hate. Racism is rooted in a person's inability to cope and be accountable. Because you know how much better life is for me when I can blame you for my problems by the color of your skin than to look in the mirror and have to accept what I am. If you move into my neighborhood and I had mowed the yard all summer, I can blame you for my low property value, not the fact that I'm white trash. I get to skate through life by blaming other people. Because a
Mm.
lot of people go like, how can you be white and be racist and have black friends? Like,
Mhm.
because these are people, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
culture is something different. It's abstract. It's in the ether. It's not tangible that I can touch. But when you get to
Mhm.
meet the people, they're good ones. Right. So
Yeah.
there's a psychology there to it. And we're seeing with the current times where how you're seeing people come out with this. Like
Mhm.
you're seeing people appealing to like this most base animalistic instinct.
Mhm.
You know, I think Bill Cosby made a joke. They say cocaine intensifies your personality. What if you're an a-hole? Well, what you're seeing is some of this, it's the worst parts of people that are being allowed out.
Right.
Mm.
It's the Martin
Mhm.
Luther King quote, right? The measure of a man isn't in comfort, but in times of distress, or what I'm butchering the quote, but basically, yeah. What when you get squeezed, what comes out?
Right. Right.
My favorite is we begin to die the moment we become silent about the things that matter.
So that's your
Yeah.
mission.
That really resonates with me.
Yeah.
Plus what you're seeing in society right now, to be an objective with everything. I used to lean conservative, right? I supported the president in 16 and 20. It was after he lost that I started to see things differently, right? I
Mhm.
never wore a MAGA hat. I was conservative, not MAGA. Um, but what I'm seeing now is at the time I felt very upset because I felt I was being persecuted as a heterosexual white male.
Yeah.
That's a
Mhm.
lot of people who look like me felt the same way. Whether it was true or not is irrelevant. It's what we
Right.
felt. Still a lot of men who feel that way. A lot of people are still triggered and angry over George Floyd, believe it or not. Even though these are different cases, it doesn't matter. A lot of this is going to be white people's George Floyd. They're going to build monuments. They're going to paint stuff. They're going to start organizations. They're taking a playbook, I feel like, and then just exploiting it even bigger. Right? We had cancel culture several years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's been taken to a whole nother degree. So what you're seeing, if you hold a mirror up, there's some similarities because it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on. There's extremes for both, right?
Yeah.
But it's happening so fast, and I think that's the gift. Because how fast it goes up is how fast it goes down. It's always proportional. It's not a decade-long build. This is like an instantaneous. And these things will build up so much speed until they collapse on themselves.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to see right now. There's people are going to get hurt. I think some people will lose their lives. We may lose a few freedoms. I mean, there's going to be some pain. We will get through this just by the very nature of how it's running out of control already.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. You talked about, I think in a podcast, that your dad passed away like 2 days or maybe 2 months before you were sentenced.
Before you went to
2 months.
prison. Yeah.
And I was just, thinking about that. Like, he didn't get a chance to see who you are today. What do you think he would say to the George now? How do you think your dad would feel?
He'd have been on 42 HBCU campuses with me.
Oh, really?
My dad was, let's go, boy. Let's go. Where are we going? What's cool?
Wow.
He'd flirt with the women. You don't know. My dad was he's a big old grizzly bear, curmudgeon, flirt, funny, witty, just a character. Oh, he would eat it up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, he would eat it up. Fried chicken at an HBCU campus, that man wouldn't miss a meal. So, no, my dad would be proud of me. I absolutely know he would. My dad changed. I just couldn't see it in life. At his funeral, we used to have a moving company, so we had a lot of black guys work for us. And they told me at the funeral, and he called me after, because your dad's the least racist white person I've ever met. I'm like, my dad? They go, your dad treated me like a man. He spoke to me like a man. He treated me equally, fairly, no different. Like, they like my dad. And it took me a while before people started realizing my dad changed quietly. And I was in a relationship with a woman that had biracial kids for the last 4 years before I got locked up. And the youngest, my dad started being around her that last year of his life. And they were like the thick as thieves, 67 and 15. Old white Vietnam grizzled combat veteran and a biracial 15-year-old girl. And and the girl was upset when my dad died of brain cancer, but I got to see something so magical, right? So yeah, my dad would be proud. My dad would have been, where are we going next?
Yeah.
I love it. And you get to have his legacy and his name. You get to carry on his name with, what you're doing now, which is absolutely amazing, because you are a junior, right? Like, you were. Yeah.
Same birthday. So, we have the same name, same birthday, same eye color.
Oh my gosh.
Same blue eyes. Yeah.
Wow.
I look like my dad. Like, I was hoping I was a garbage man's kid or some billionaire's kid, Nope. I look just like him. Like,
no mistaking that.
No. I was hoping, but no.
Yeah. Oh, that's
amazing. I have one more thing to ask you. I know you have a hard stop, but
no, you're okay. No, keep going.
You talked about there being like a critical turning point in your life to never having a bad day. And you talked about when you were in the hospital and you had meningitis.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean,
she's a good note taker.
That almost, George, brought tears to my eyes because you were kind of in a dark place. Like, you're in the hospital, you're a kid, you're a teenager, I guess, and you have meningitis. You've been in there a few weeks or a month, and your parents, or your mom and your sister, I believe, were at the hospital visiting you, and you were supposed to get out the next day. Anyway, I'm going to let you tell the story. You'll tell it way better than me, but I want to hear it from you because, I don't want to cry.
I am blessed to not have bad days, because on January 5th, 1987, my dad was recovering from multiform grade 4 glioblastoma, which is one of the most fatal forms of brain cancers there is, 3% chance of living past a year. So they gave him a year to live. He was diagnosed on January 5th of 86. January 5th of 87, 1 year to the day later, right? I'm afraid my dad's going to die that day because I'm 15 and I'm like, they gave me a year to live. It's today the day. I don't understand. And so he's actually up at the hospital with me. And I just remember I was tense because I it's such touch and go, right? So I've been up there for about a month. I've been in and out of ICU with meningitis. It's bad. And my mom and sister came in to visit. They'd only been there a little while, and our doctor had come in to say, "Hey, we're going to release you to go home tomorrow. The infection's down. You can go home." While he was in there, our pastor showed up and said, "Hey, there was a fire at your house. We lost everything." So my parents had to scramble to find a house to take me home to the next day because I hadn't been home in a month. Lost everything, all my clothes, my Christmas. I never got to play with my Christmas gifts because I got sick the day after Christmas. And so we lost everything. We had to rebuild. It was horribly difficult. And my dad took about 2 years to get his mind right. He didn't die. And it took about 2 years for him to normalize after that big brain surgery. And in case you're wondering about him, 86 was brain cancer, year to live. 2000 was colon cancer. 2002 was brain cancer, again, a year to live. 2006 was stage 4 melanoma. I want to say it was a year to live. And then in 2010, he had glioblastoma, again, a year to live, and it got him 13 months later. He never pulled out of surgery. So my dad had an amazing life. His cancer is the greatest gift from God. It's the greatest gift God's ever given me in my life. So in that story, I had the worst day of my life, right? And what makes that so special is that I literally almost lost my family. We lost our home. I almost died on a single day. You can't take that away from me anymore. My dad is gone. I don't have family. You can't, there's nothing you can take from me that life hasn't taken. So I know that day is the worst I'm ever going to have. And that gives me so much freedom. But when I tell you that my dad's cancer was God's greatest gift in the world to me, my dad was never home. He was a truck driver, drove for Walmart. And the man came home on Friday nights exhausted because he took speed and stayed up all week to drive more miles to provide for his 3 kids and wife. So he came home on Friday night, would sleep, get up Saturday lunch, take sleep in the afternoon. We'd have dinner. We'd go to church on Sunday, hug his neck, and he's on the road again. That was my dad for a number of years. But working for Walmart was a great thing for our family, right? Because he bought stock. But he never slept, and the doctors think that's what triggered the brain cancer. And he had a seizure, and I found him right before he was set to go out on the road. He was laying on his bed to get putting his shoes on, and and I'm the one that I still remember that seizure. And so what that gave me was 25 years with a father who no longer had to work. He was 100% disabled. We hunted, we fished, we traveled, we bought a moving company together, fought like cats and dogs, like fought. Greatest gift in the world was his cancer because he was disabled with an income.
Yeah.
And he got to
Right.
be my dad. He got to be my sister's dad. He never missed a football game. He never missed my sister's cheerleading.
Wow.
My
Right.
dad was present.
Yeah.
Greatest
Right.
gifts ever was my dad's cancer.
Well, yeah, oh man, that's a beautiful story. You also said that because your sister and your mom were visiting you in the hospital, that they weren't home when the house burned down. So their lives were
And
spared pretty much because you were in the hospital.
yeah,
I mean,
it's something my dad told me. I don't talk about this much. My dad told me after church one Sunday, a complete stranger came up to him and handed him $5,000 in an envelope. And in 1987, that's probably 25 grand today. And my
yeah.
dad didn't know them. He goes, "How do I pay it back?" And they said, "Just help somebody else out." I watched my dad give away tens of thousands of dollars, money my mom didn't know he gave away, especially to house fire victims. I had ridden with him, and I would watch him go stand out there. I'd be bored, right? I'd be maybe 17, 18. And I'd watch him go talk to somebody in the driveway or at the door, and they'd hug and all that. And he'd get in the truck, and he wouldn't say a word. And I wasn't going to question my dad, right? My dad wanted to tell me, he'd tell me. And so after a while, he told me what he was doing, and he goes, "I could never repay that debt." He's constantly trying. He goes, "We were sunk without that money.
Wow.
Waiting, trying to get insurance in. I mean, it was just a huge mess, and that money goes saved our family." So
Mm.
Wow.
yeah, there was a lot that came from that.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I love that story. Well, I mean, Alaina, do you have any more questions? I mean, this has been
Amazing.
Amazing.
Well, and we got to start with your stand-up routine, so they didn't get that.
Do you have any more dad
We'll get you
jokes?
back on to tell jokes, but
Except the ones I can tell. Do you know how a penguin builds a house?
how?
How?
It glues it together.
I
Okay. Okay. What do you call a black guy who flies airplanes?
don't know.
A pilot, you racist.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
we used to live next door to these gorgeous lesbians, right? They were sweethearts, and they bought me a Rolex for Christmas one year,
What?
which I thought was crazy because I just said I want to watch.
Okay.
She
You
got
just
it.
wanted to watch them. You don't try to tell the time, Trevor.
Okay, I got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Sure.
If your car goes the speed of light, how do you know your headlights work? How can you tell if your pen runs out of invisible ink?
You can't.
How can you tell if a Smurf is suffocating?
True. Maybe they turn red.
Why is there no lifeguard in the gene pool?
Oh, wait.
And it-
I have one. I have
Hold on,
one.
last one. If Barbie's so popular, why you got to buy her damn friends?
True.
Mm,
Yeah.
Okay, what you
yeah.
got? What you got?
Did y'all know diarrhea is hereditary?
So what?
Diarrhea is hereditary.
Mm-mm.
It runs in your genes.
Do you know Arkansas is mentioned in the Bible?
No.
No.
Noah looked out the Arkansas.
Okay, see, you are not only a storyteller, you are a comedian.
You're a
Thank
comedian
you.
too. You got to do some stand up. I'll come see you, George.
That's
Yeah.
how I did that. That's how I got ready to speak on stage at the Apollo Theaters. I went and did stand up to just like open mic, and I didn't tell you the joke I told because it's I mic dropped the crowd, and it went over so well. It kind of took my desire to want to do it again away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I almost rather would have failed and bombed than to have done. The host forgot to come back on stage. They were so just like floored because I basically said I can take 14 innocent words and string them together in such a way I can predict this room's emotion with just 14 innocent random words. And there's 150,000 words in the English language, and you will know between 120,000 of them. But I can take 14 innocent words, no vulgarity, and string them together in such a way that one of you is going to laugh out loud and the other is going to question whether you're going to heaven or hell.
Oh,
Do you want to hear what those 14 words are?
Yes.
Sure.
Are you sure?
Yes.
They're innocent random words strung together that I can predict the reaction.
Okay.
Did you hear the joke about the baby with cancer? It never grows old.
Oh, wow.
It's not a joke. It's 14
Alaina
words.
turned off her camera.
She turned her camera off.
Oh my
Told you.
gosh. Oh gosh. Well, we're going to have you back on a second time just to do some comedy for us. But in the meantime, how can our audience find you on social media?
The easiest way is to Google White George, click the video tab, and all my everything comes up. I will tell you, Instagram and Facebook, they're linked, get everything. TikTok does not get. TikTok keeps saying I'm not me. My 4K videos are in low quality. Yeah, there's a lot of my friends are having the same issue, so TikTok does not get my. You okay, Alaina?
Yes,
your
sorry,
composure?
my daughter called me and it kicked me off. I'm just gonna tell her not to call me anymore.
That's what I'd say when I'm laughing at a joke of 14 innocent words strung together.
Well, since I'm going to hell now, I'll
It's the power of words, right? That's all it is, like the pilot joke. We're so trained to think that there's
Yes.
some subtext to that when pilot is the obvious. I enjoy words, like mechanics understand motors. I understand words.
Well, you describe yourself as a storyteller. I'm a storyteller as an actor. And I think like this is the thing we need to do, which is why it's so important to have these outlets, to have these platforms to speak on, because when we're relying on one or two or three, I always say this, particularly, this is called Hey Girl, it's 9-1 male roles in a movie to a female role. And we can be upset about it, or we can be like, you know what, I could tell a story. I could write my story. I have a phone, I have access, I have friends. And so I think just to kind of tie this all up, for you to be able to be out there and be like, look, this is where I've come from, this is where I'm going. You know, several years ago, I read a bunch of biographies, everyone from Michelle Obama, that was her book was one of my favorite books I've ever read, to Rick Ross, to Tina Fey. And they all had a similar story. I thought everybody was against me. I thought this. And in the end, we're all living our own experience, and we need to hear stories. That's why the Bible's been around 2,000 years. You know, there's stories we need to keep telling. We need to write them. We need to share them. Other people can learn from them, and we can grow from each other.
Right.
So
And
thank you for
people
telling your
identify with
stories.
storytelling. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs said, I think it was in 1994, the most powerful person in the world is a storyteller. They have the power to shape the vision of the future.
Yeah.
And that just resonated with me. And I also learned raconteur. I didn't know what you would think I would know what raconteur meant, but I didn't until recently. But I'm a raconteur. I kind of like that.
What does
love
it
You know what it
mean?
means? I'm not telling
No.
you. You have to Google it too.
Okay, we'll have to look
You
it
Okay.
won't
up.
forget you won't forget the meaning, just like I did, and that's why I'm not telling you.
Okay.
Because
I'll
I've seen
play.
the word, right? I'm thinking it's like a near do well, a hobo. I don't know, but no. See what it looks like. It's a positive word. I'm a raconteur, and I'm very proud to be one.
I
All
love that.
right.
And
I
you might
love
be one
it.
too, Alaina.
I
Whichever of
can.
you on the camera. I don't know. I'm so confused. See?
Well, George, it was nice seeing you. Let's all do our hearts.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, for sharing your heart, for advocating for your
Absolutely.
allyship.
Here's to the
That's what we're
success
all
of your
about.
movie. Here's to the
Thank
success of your new
you.
movie.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you
you.
are welcome back anytime on Hey
Yes.
Girl. I want to
First guy
see you
ever.
again.
Did y'all see what my shirt said?
Well-behaved women.
seldom make history.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
True. I love it.
All right. Well, you have a great rest of your evening. Get some rest, George, okay?
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, very
All right.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, George.
Hey, girl.
Bye.
Hey, girl.